we are moving towards the last part of our today's session, and that part is actually related to part C, which I think it's a tricky one because this is a very simple requirement, and it happens whenever students see a very simple requirement, they get relaxed and somehow they miss few things. Let me tell you what I'm trying to communicate. Assess the potential impact of JOLT's high ethical standard on the BPR proposal, right? So, potential impact of ethical standards on BPR proposal, right? And consequently on this part, and consequently on business performance. So, the second thing which you have to do is to see what is the ethical implication and how it's going to impact the business performance, right? So there are two things which you need to which you should consider while writing the answer: the ethical impact on the BPR proposal, considering the BPR proposal, and the and on the business performance, right? So let's try to recall what is given in the question. Let me try to change the color. Okay. So first of all, let's try to recall what do you mean by high ethical standard. See, the question says that the company JOLT is organized. Sorry. Um, John is known for its high ethical standards toward its workers, suppliers, and the environment, and has voluntarily published a corporate sustainability report for many years. Now, try to pause this video and try to think what examiner is actually trying to communicate. See, this is very simple. The John is actually, first of all, John is voluntarily doing something. So that means this is not the requirement by the law. This is basically the requirement. This is basically something which the company is doing at its own. And usually company does something like that just to in order to gain some benefit. For example, if I'm foreseeing that the customer are quite concerned about the environment, then definitely I will try to present something in my report, in my annual report, or something in my advertisement, or something communicate something to the customer that will let them realize that we are environmental friendly company. Or if we think that the consumers are quite sensitive regarding the ethical implications for human being, because human quality of ethical, how ethically you are working with a company, that is important with respect to workers, then probably we need to communicate it to the public. So definitely company is getting some benefit. That's why company is voluntarily producing such reports, which is not by law the requirement. And the report consists of workers, suppliers, and the environment, right? There are three things which the report, there are three headings of the report, probably: workers, suppliers, and the environment. Now the point is how BPR is going to, how these standards are going to have an impact on BPR. See, let's start with the workers. Let's try to identify what kind of information is given with respect to the employees. See, the question says that there are 1,000 manufacturing staff, right, and 200 support staff. So this is a piece of information which is given here, right, and related to staff. And what else is given here? Let me try to identify which is relevant. This part is relevant. In the second part, the question is mainly discussing the IT related part, so this is not relevant. Then this is actually related with something of John's competitor and market environment. So obviously this is also irrelevant. BPR. Now this part can be relevant because in this part the examiner is actually talking about the BPR. So obviously ethical implication on BPR can be found here. In order to produce a cost, it has been proposed to outsource the manufacturing of swimmers, which is around 50% of JOLT's output to a supplier who is 17,000 kilometers away, right? This is something actually related with the workers, right? So try to think, if you are outsourcing 50% of your production to someone else just to save some money, is it going to be, I mean, it's legal, it's not illegal, but how you will report it to the sustainability report that the company laid off how many workers were there? There were 1,000 workers, right? And you are saying that you have laid off 50% of the workers. So how you will report that? Will you report like this, that in order to have financial benefits, company decided to outsource the manufacturing to some other country, and a company saved some cost, and company laid off around 50% of its production workers? It sounds not illegal, but it sounds odd. If someone read this, it is not going to give a good impression, and there can be some ethics involved in that. I mean, you are compromising job opportunity. You are taking jobs of 500 people just to save some money, just to save some dollars, right? So there's nothing wrong, but obviously ethical point of view, it's not a good idea, right? And then what it says, this is the first point. I mean, let me try to write it. Employee loss of job, right? Loss of job is an ethical implication, right? And what else? This means that the staff from JOLT's functional department will be reorganized into multidisciplinary teams, and each serving major customers account. Each team will perform all aspects of account management, from taking sales order and procurement through arranging shipping and after sales services. Team members will be dealing with customers will work in John's home country, while those managing quality and supplier audit will work closer to manufacturing side. Now, do you think, try to pause this video and think that what the company is doing? Company is restructuring and obviously reorganizing the team, reorganizing workers, leftover workers in teams. There's nothing wrong in that. There's no ethical issues in that. But then what you are doing, you are sending some of your workers, this part, you are sending some of your workers to manufacturing site. This means what? That few workers will be at home, same home country, and few workers will go to another country. There is nothing wrong here, but it's really very important to see, if try to pause this video and think if there is any ethical implications here. See, the ethical implications can be that maybe they are not willing to go there, but since they are scared of losing job, they may want to switch, they may want to agree, right? So the second point can be, which we can identify from here, is that willingness of workers to relocate, right? If they are relocating, are they doing it from their own willingness, or are they not willing to do so? And if they are not willing to do so, then how it's going to impact? See, the other part of the question says that you have to comment on the business performance as well. So if they are not willing to relocate, then it's going to reduce their efficiency. And who you are relocating? The people who are supposed to do the quality audits, right? So if those who are involved in quality audits, they are not performing, or they are not willing to do, they are not 100% doing their work efficiently, then there are chances that you will receive a shipment which may not contain the desired quality product, right? So that can have a negative consequence on the performance of the company, right? And there's one more thing. If the people are losing job, then those who are left with the company, they will also feel insecure. That also has a consequence on performance. Left with the company, how they will feel, they will be demotivated. Why they will be demotivated? Because they know that uh, few of their colleagues have to leave this job, leave this company, just because of the reason that company decided to prioritize cost saving over employee experience. I mean, those people who have left the organization might be, experienced worker. They might be working for with a company, they might be associated with a company for 10 to 15 years, and you are saying that just because the company wants to save few dollars, we are letting you go, we are not going to continue with you. So obviously it's going to be have a negative consequence, demotivate the current workers. Their performance will get affected. They may work inefficiently here because they may try to switch the organization because of the lack of trust with the organization. So that is a separate thing, but performance measurement has, obviously performance will get there will be an impact, negative impact on the performance. So loss of job is ethical issue is something else, but obviously performance will also get affected here. And then what they're saying, teams will be given greater autonomy to set selling prices to reflect market conditions. Let me try to zoom in. Many support staff, work in unfamiliar roles or be offered new jobs overseas after the reorganization. So, do you think there is any ethical implication here? Try to pause this video and think. See, they first of all, you are relocating them. That may have that can be a disturbing thing for them, because if you are relocating them to a less developed country, then obviously they will not be happy in that case. And then what you are doing, you are trying, and then there is an alarming situation that you are saying that they might be given some unfamiliar roles. So this is another negative impact on employees. This will have two things. The first thing is that you are forcefully doing. You're not exactly forcefully doing it, but the employees are just doing this because they don't want to lose their job, right? So the third thing can be the unknown roles for employees. You I mean, there is a situation where you ask employees to go to another country and work in the same position, same thing, or to promote them. But now what you are doing, you are sending them to another country and they really don't know what they are supposed to do there. I mean, if they may end up in getting a surprise. So that can be kind of unethical, that you are not dealing with the emotions of employees, rather you are just treating them as a your slaves type of thing. So this is not a good idea to do so. And it will have again, it is going to impact the overall efficiency of the worker, that if they find their new role unattractive, not attractive, then obviously it will impair the overall performance, right? Okay, what else? Or to be offered new jobs overseas after the reorganization. So it's not 100% clear here what do we mean by this, but probably they will be offered some new roles there. So new roles obviously means that they need to learn few new skills. So if those new skills are productive and according to new norms, like today we have digital marketing and everything. So if these are new skills, probably employees will be motivated to learn those skills, and there will be a positive impact on the performance. But if those new roles are difficult or challenging, or very challenging, or they are not motivated, they are not enthusiastic to accept that new role, then definitely it's going to impair the performance, right? So New role. New role, the the what you will say, the type of role will be important. I mean, if the role is if it's a better version, then probably they will be motivated to have new skills. But if they find it unattractive, then definitely it's going to impact badly on their efficiency. So if the new role is not up to their expectations or what they want, this is going to reduce their efficiency because they are not willing to take up that role, right? So these are few things which are given here. We have considered two parts, the ethical implications and how it's going to impact the overall performance, right? The next part is supplier, how it's going to impact the supplier. See, there's nothing much about supplier is given here. So from now, this is a tricky part. Nothing about supplier is given, much about supplier is given. They just have identified the supplier is someone who is an overseas option. So the company needs to arrange, manage its cost and everything. But how what the supplier is doing there, nothing about that is given. So here you have to start thinking that what can we write here if nothing is given in the question, and that's really very important for you to identify what can be the what can be the possibility, right? So if you are moving towards the BPR part now, okay, fine, if you are moving towards the BPR thing, then definitely you are moving towards a supplier. So your ethical standards, how your ethical standard will impact on the BPR in this case. You cannot choose any supplier who is working unethically overseas. If a supplier is working unethically overseas, or or that organization has not a good impression of of work ethics, and you still do the agreement with that supplier just to have lower cost, then it's going to seriously affect your reputation, and that can affect your current customers, right? So we cannot contract, we cannot make any contract with a supplier who is working, who is compromising on ethics, on work ethics, right? Obviously we are talking about work ethics here. And if this happen, then it will impair the company's image. This is the performance measurement part. And if you want to further elaborate it, how the company image can have an impact on performance, then you can consider its sales part, because sales profitability part, I mean, there are chances that there are few customers who are buying from the company just because of the reason that company is highly ethical, and if you are compromising on that, you may lose those customers, right? You may be getting some donations, or okay, fine, let's forget about donations, let's focus on sales and profitability part, right? What else company is doing? The environment part. Environment part is also important. mm, See how environmentally, how you can how this ethical standard will have an implication on BPR project. Try to think that how how do you think that these ethics will going to impact on BPR proposal considering the environment aspect. Pause this video and think. See, the main point is 17,000 kilometers. The supplier is someone who is not in the same country, someone who is overseas. So that means there will be high transportation cost, right? High transportation cost means more environmental damage, right? But you can compare it with lower factory operations, because now the factory is working only 50%. So few things can be compensated. I mean, environment damage can be compensated, but again, we need to see, we need to analyze how damaging it can be, and if you think that it can be highly damaging for the environment, then maybe company need to not opt this option, because just because of the reason that company cannot afford to compromise on its image. So BPR project may not be accepted in this case. Also, you need to make sure that the supplier which you are choosing um, is not involved in any unethical situation related to the environment. I mean, he or she, I mean that organization is properly disposing of everything, taking care of, its disposal, and not emitting more than allowed gases to the environment, and something like that. I mean, there are countries which are allowing factories to emit certain amount of gas in the environment, and if they emit more gases, they will be charged some. They are supposed to pay more money, more in terms of tax or penalty or whatever you call it, to the government. But that is allowed, that is not illegal, that is allowed. You can do that, you have to pay extra money. But if this if the supplier is breaching that limit, then definitely that is not going to be a good idea to get supplies from that supplier, because that can ultimately have some negative consequences on sales of company, right? So these are few things which are important. This is just 8 mark part. So my idea, what I'm trying to communicate, is that there are students who will probably answer this part, because this is what I have seen in the class, and students forget this part. They do not answer this part, and this happened with me 2 times. Students discuss this part, and they did not focus on this one. So obviously you are losing, you are not answering the whole question. That means you will be losing 3 to 4 marks, right? So let's see what the examiner has to comment on this. Part C was largely straightforward. I'm just trying to read what is the problematic part. However, it is very clear that candidates who structured their answer well also performed well on this question. I mean, if you are writing general ethics and you are not focusing on the company sustainability report regarding the employee environment and supplier, then definitely you are not focused, then you are not structuring your question well, right? Again, it is advised that all candidates ensure that they adequately attempt all parts of the requirement. This is basically something which I was talking about, that students may fail to answer the performance measure part, not because of the reason that they don't know, just because of the reason that they forget that part to answer. Many candidates correctly discussed ethical consideration as stated above, and then developed their points by discussing how this could impact the BPR proposal. For example, negative publicity can affect sales, or by increasing costs, try to counter the effects on welfare pollution. I mean, the examiner is trying to encourage that if you can hypothesize something, that okay, fine, this is going to happen if company does that, then you may write it as an example, right? So what are the basic takeaways? See, there are few things which you should consider. The first thing is basic introduction. If you are seeing any question first time, if a concept has been introduced in the company first time, then you should start with a basic introduction. If you are just like we discussed in IT part, the examiner says that how IT needs to be improved. So first of all, you have to tell the examiner that what are the problems in the current IT system, why you think that the current IT system has some issues, and then we can discuss why we think that the new IT system may help the company, right? Structure your answer by putting appropriate headings. This is very important. Connect it with examiner marking. That's important. How many marks are available and how many marks you are attempting. Like, let me try to connect it from here. See, I think I opened wrong. Yeah, this part. There was just 8 marks available, right? And for 8 marks, we wrote how many points we wrote. We wrote this point: loss of job, its performance measurement part, willingness, and its performance measurement part, right? And this point, new role and how it's going to impact on performance. We discussed supplier issue, right? This is another part, and how it's going to impact the performance of company. The environmental factor and how it's going to impact the performance of company. So we have written more than 8 points. So that means ultimately probably we'll get 100% marks. So usually the idea is 1 mark per point is usually the idea. So you have to write it accordingly. In case of general discussion, as we have seen in the last question, in case of general discussions, right? Try to connect it with a scenario. Try to write some generalized thing and connect it by scenario hypothetically. That how you think that this might be connected with a question. So these are few things that you should keep in your mind while answering the question, right? Till now, that's the end of this question. Take care. Allah Hafiz. See you soon. Allah Hafiz.